Many people use online discussion forums like Reddit and 4chan to discuss current events and meet like-minded people who share common interests. These message boards have also attracted users who need help or advice. Over the years, countless mysteries have piqued the interest of people visiting these forums. From code breaking to missing persons and everything in between, there's no shortage of interesting content. Sometimes all it takes is the right set of eyes to put the pieces of a puzzle together. With so many people using the internet, it's no surprise that so many forms of social media play an important role in solving all kinds of mysteries. Number 5. On November 4th, 2014, a man later identified as David Kalick posted a set of disturbing images to 4chan. The photos were of his girlfriend's lifeless body, and the caption described how difficult it was for him to strangle her to death. Many users on 4chan believed the photos were a hoax at first, until Kalick insisted that they pay attention to Port Orchard, Washington news. Kalick explained that the woman's 13-year-old son would soon discover the body when he returned home from school and call the police. Less than an hour after posting the gruesome photos, authorities were called to the apartment of Amber Lynn Copland. The 30-year-old mother had in fact been discovered in her bedroom floor by her young son, as Kalick predicted. He immediately called his father, who rushed to the apartment and called 911. Copland's car was missing, and so was David Kalick. Police quickly pieced together what had happened, and not only did Kalick post the murder online, but he texted a friend to tell them that he would be on the news the next day. David was immediately identified as the suspect, and police began searching for Copland's car. 3 hours away, an officer in Portland, Oregon, spotted Copland's Ford Focus and attempted to stop the driver. A short, high-speed chase ensued when the officer exited his vehicle to approach Kalick, but when the suspect started swerving into oncoming traffic, the officer backed off and lost sight of the vehicle. Hours later, the car would be found abandoned, and David was nowhere to be found. 20 miles south of Portland, an officer was patrolling a transit station when a man approached him from the trees. He told the officer that he had a warrant, and he wanted to turn himself in, and was subsequently arrested without incident. He was charged and convicted in the second-degree murder of Amber Lynn Copland and was sentenced to 82 years in prison. Number 4. Japan released its first animated film in 1917. Fans of Japanese animation credit the man named Osamu Tezuka for the success of anime. In 1962, Tezuka formed his own production company and released what is known today as his best work, a series called Astro Boy. This series is said to be the foundation of anime. In 2011, an anime fan found himself quite in a predicament. A series titled The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya had released all 14 episodes on DVD. The problem was, the show, which was centered around time travel, was not in chronological order. Turning to 4chan, he posed the question, how long would it take to watch the entire series in every order possible? While this may seem like an irrelevant question to people outside of the anime fandom, it helped mathematicians solve a math mystery that had been plaguing them for 25 years. A supermutation is the mathematical term for every possible order a set of numbers could be strung together in. In 1993, mathematicians believed that they'd found a formula to solve supermutations. But in 2014, a computer scientist named Robin Houston discovered that it wouldn't work for sets containing more than 6 numbers. It wasn't until 2018 that Houston would stumble across the 4chan post and discover that an anonymous user had replied less than an hour after the original post. The user concluded that an anime fan would have to watch no less than 93 billion episodes to watch the entire series in every order possible. In mathematics, this is called the lower bound. The user also included his proof to be checked for any possible errors. Houston shared the 4chan post to his Twitter, and fellow researchers and mathematicians took interest in the findings. The proof posted by the user was reviewed and it all checked out. An Australian science fiction writer named Greg Eggett went on to prove what is now called the upper bound in the Haruhi problem, which is the most episodes of the series a person could watch in different orders. His findings, along with those of the anonymous 4chan user, were used to create proof in the supermutation problem that had been stumping mathematicians for years. Number 3. On May 1st, 2015, user R. Bradbury1920 made a post in the legal advice section of Reddit. expressing concern that his landlord was entering his Boston apartment without his knowledge or permission. Detailing the experience he had on April 15th, he explains that he found a yellow Post-it note on his desk reminding him of errands that he had to run. He goes on to say that the note was not written in his handwriting. He believed at the time it must have been written while he was half asleep, as he had no other explanation and he threw it away. A few days later, on April 19th, another Post-it note appeared on the back of his desk chair. This time, the note was reminding him to save his documents. Worried that someone must be entering his apartment without his knowledge, he placed a webcam in his apartment hoping to catch the intruder. Over a week later, on the 28th, he woke up to yet another note that read, "Our landlord isn't letting me talk to you, but it's important that we do." Upon finding this note, he immediately rushed to his computer to check the webcam footage, but found that the file from the night before had been completely deleted. One day, he reached out to Reddit seeking legal advice, and he discovered a blank Post-it note on his door, along with various other Post-it notes on doors around the apartment complex. Some commenters believe he could have possibly been sleepwalking and leaving the notes himself. A doctor working for the sleep disorder clinic quickly dismissed this theory based on the user's ability to write complete and coherent sentences, which is something not typical in sleepwalking cases. An engineer named Ken Roach believed mental illness may have been a factor in the mysterious Post-it notes. He took it upon himself to look through the user's previous Reddit posts looking for any signs of schizophrenia or other mental disorders. When Roach concluded that the man concerned about Post-it note writing seemed to be sane and articulate, he began to wonder what could cause such a person to experience hallucinations. Having an experience himself with carbon monoxide poisoning, Roach suggested that a detector need to be installed in his apartment to eliminate the possibility of poisoning, as it was completely reasonable. Open to any suggestions that may explain the Post-it notes, the user followed Roach's advice. A few weeks later, R. Bradbury, 1920, returned to the forum to thank the commenter who offered the advice to try to help him. He was especially thankful to Roach and others who suggested carbon monoxide. He explained that after checking his bedroom, he discovered dangerously high levels of the gas. Because exposure to high levels of carbon monoxide causes confusion, disorientation, and memory loss, he'd most certainly written the notes himself. Number 2. When an extension cord blew a fuse in a college student's dorm room, Reddit was introduced to one of its most popular posts to date. A user known as ShadyBusiness15 posted pictures of his faulty extension cord after he had taken it apart to assess the damage. Among the typical wires that are to be expected, there were strange smaller wires connected to a SIM card. The SIM card was imprinted with a serial number as well as a telephone number. After nearly 900 comments, the extension cord was identified as surveillance equipment. One commenter posted a link to a very similar device sold on Amazon. Users concluded that the device was equipped with a microphone. By calling the number located on the SIM card, the device would answer the call and enable the caller to hear everything that's going on in the vicinity of the cord. ShadyBusiness15 had no idea who would want to spy on him. He eliminated his parents by cross-referencing the phone number on the SIM card with their call logs, and there didn't seem to be anything interesting in his life that would warrant someone going to such extremes to eavesdrop on him. He called the number on the SIM card himself, and a pre-recorded message said, "This service is now closed. If you have a voicemail, you can turn it on." As a last resort to find out who had placed the microphone in his home, he created an account with the device manufacturer and requested the incoming call log. The company denied his request and told him that he would need a warrant to access any information. Although the identity of the person responsible for planting the device in Shady Business's room remains a mystery, Reddit was quick to discover that it wasn't an ordinary extension cord. Number 1. While hiking, a man stumbled across an unusual block of wood. It had 4 pillars and a nail going only through the middle too. Confused and intrigued, he took to Reddit to find answers as to how it was possible. The post immediately garnered a lot of attention. People seemed to be equally as stumped as the man who found it. Much like the sailboat in a bottle and other impossible objects, the nail through the wood seems like some sort of otherworldly magic. Some speculated that one of the outer pillars had been broken to drive the nail through the middle pillar and then discreetly glued back together. Other users wondered if there was some way the nail could have been bent or some sort of trick nail was used. Before long, a carpenter entered the conversation and offered a solution. He explained that boiling one of the outer pillars in hot water softens the wood and makes it pliable. A person can then clamp the pillar down until it's shorter than the others, and easily hammer a nail through the middle 2 pillars. Once this is done, the wood can be returned into boiling water and taken back to its original shape. Of course, the man who found the block of wood and everyone who had been intrigued by the puzzle were relieved to finally know a secret. A YouTube video was even linked in the comments illustrating a process step by step so anyone interested could create their very own. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads.